morning, everyone, and welcome to First Things First. I'm Jenna Wolfe alongside a very happy Nick Wright this morning. Kevin Wildes is there. Eric Mangini is joining us. Coming up on a Friday morning, the winners, the losers, and all the questions that went into last night's NFL draft. But we start with the possible heir apparent to Aaron Rodgers. It is our rewarding performance sponsored by Capital One. What is in your wallet? So the Packers drafted their first offensive skill position player in 15 years. But it wasn't someone to help Aaron Rodgers. It's someone to replace Aaron Rodgers. Green Bay trading up the 26th pick just to select Utah State quarterback Jordan Love. Mainly so I could say no love lost in Green Bay this morning. Or there was love lost. I never know how that one really goes. Nick, what's most important is that this move both surprised and annoyed you. Tell us why this morning.
Oh, I mean, what an absolute slap in the face to Aaron Rodgers. To be a fly on Aaron Rodgers' Malibu wall when he sees in one of the deepest wide receiver drafts ever, in a draft where there hadn't yet been a single running back or tight end taken, so you could have either had a top flight wide receiver, your number one running back, or your number one tight end, that his team not only, for the first time, as you mentioned, Jenna, in his career, drafts a non-offensive lineman, offensive player in the first round, but they trade up to do so, and that player's a quarterback. You were 13-3 last year. Hell, you were, if you include the playoffs, 14-2 against the whole league, not named San Francisco, and 0-2 against the Niners. You were a game away from going to the Super Bowl and losing, of course, to Patrick Mahomes. But still, it would have been nice to get there. And yet, instead of saying, how can we get past San Francisco, you're planning for the future. You're trading up to draft a player who you hope desperately doesn't play a single snap in 2020 or 2021. It is to me, Coach, the absolute definition of focusing on making sure you never fall off a cliff rather than focusing on trying to win a championship now. If you're Rodgers or a Packer fan, I don't know how you wake up this morning, Coach, anything other than beside yourself.
Well, you keep talking about Rodgers and saying his team. It's not his team. There are people who are in charge of running the team and looking after it, not just for the short term, but for the long term as well. And if you feel like you've got the quarterback of the future and you've currently got an older quarterback who could or could not be there, 2 or 3 years from now, you have to do the responsible thing and take the future quarterback. You said it. It's a deep wide receiver draft, so you feel like you can still get quality help for your current quarterback in later rounds. I think the one thing that this does send a pretty significant message to Aaron Rodgers that this isn't just his team, and there's going to be competition at every position. And maybe as much as it looked like they were getting along last year, things weren't as rosy as we envisioned it to be in Green Bay.
Coach, you said something interesting there. You said it was the responsible thing. I just feel like that might make sense from your coaching background. From a fan background, responsibility is just like the most boring aspect of the draft. Like, I understand it's the right decision, but it's the wrong decision. It's like if you bought your wife a savings bond for your anniversary and said, like, it's for the future. It's the responsible decision. Like, I know, but there's no excitement there. I appreciate that you're planning for us, but this is a real letdown. There is one silver lining, though, Nick, and it was an interesting little note that Peter King had in his column, and he was talking about the amount of wide receivers taken in the second round or later who have been successful versus the first round. The only first-round wide receiver who has led in touchdowns is DeAndre Hopkins. Everybody else has been taken super late. So maybe there is help coming to Aaron Rodgers, but maybe it's later in the draft. If we look at the top 5 wide receivers left, maybe one of these guys ends up as a teammate for Aaron Rodgers. And friendly reminder to you, Nick, your guy, Julian Edelman, one of, if not the best wide receiver in the league, was taken in the 7th round. So there's plenty of help later on in the drafts.
Yeah, listen, okay, so then fine. Then wait to draft a wide receiver, but draft someone who can play this year. Aaron Rodgers, they just signed Rodgers to a new contract. He is 1,000% locked in with this team for at least the next 2 years, which means you hope the player you traded up to get does not play for at least the next 900 days. There are certain teams that are so terrified of one day being bad, they don't take advantage of when they can be great. Winning 2 Super Bowls in the last 30 years sounds awesome for a lot of teams, but when you've had 30 uninterrupted years of Favre to Rodgers and you've won 2 and you've only been to 3, there's a word for that. It's underachieving. And sometimes things are as obvious as they seem. They drafted Aaron Rodgers in 2005. Since then, they have now drafted more first-round quarterbacks than first-round wide receivers, running backs, and tight ends combined. That's insanity. It's just not maximizing one of the most talented quarterbacks the league's ever seen. And so there's no justification to this. Even if you wanted a wide receiver later, then draft an offensive lineman to help block Nicky Bosa. Draft someone who you want to play this year when you were a game away from the Super Bowl last year. And Jenna, not only did they not do that, they so desperately wanted the quarterback, they traded up to get him. Like, oh no, we can't let this guy fall off, have someone else come get him. I can't imagine Jenna being Rodgers this morning.
But Coach, let me ask you maybe from the other side of this. Rodgers is getting older. He's 36. He's been injury prone the last couple of years. Is it possible this was, I don't know, maybe a panic move by the Green Bay Packers, knowing that they don't actually need Love for a couple more years?
No, I don't think it's a panic move. Every year we see teams get deep into the season, and then their starter gets hurt, and they don't have an answer, and or the second guy can't be a good enough answer to carry them through the playoffs. So you get that type of insurance. And Kevin, you say you buy your wife a savings bond. I bet your wife would be pretty happy if her savings bond was Aaron Rodgers when Brett Favre left. And it's that type of thinking where you can compete for the now, or you can compete long term and try to win a championship every single year. And as much as you may want to look at this and say this isn't planning, this isn't trying to win now, it is the responsible, smart thing to do if you feel like you truly have the quarterback of the future to not let him get away.
I guess so.
Coach's
Nick, I guess
Go ahead, Kevin.
Sorry. Okay. Nick, I guess the other thing is here, like maybe Jordan Love is really good. Like maybe Jordan Love is really good and this proves to be the right decision. So maybe it's the right call.
But that's the idea. Of course, that's what they believe, and people will bring up, well, this is how you got Aaron Rodgers, and Brett Favre was there. Here is the problem with that line of logic. Spoiler alert, America. I'll bet all the money I have, and I got a little bit more thanks to yesterday, and we'll talk about that in a bit in Super 6. But here's the bet I'll make. Jordan Love ain't going to be Aaron Rodgers. I'll take any odds. Jordan Love is not going to be Aaron Rodgers. When Aaron Rodgers was coming out of Cal, there was real speculation he would go #1 overall. The Niners incorrectly chose Alex Smith over him. It was then an odd draft when no other quarterback was taken for the next 22 picks, and the Packers didn't even trade up then. Rodgers just sitting there, they're on the board, so they take him. Jordan Love was the 4th, 5th, or 6th best quarterback on almost everyone's board. He's not going to be Aaron Rodgers. The idea that, well, they did it Favre to Rodgers, now they're doing Rodgers to Love. Love ain't Rodgers. Rodgers is one of the 2 most talented quarterbacks the league's ever seen. We are in an era where quarterbacks are playing longer than ever. You just sign him to a contract extension and you trade up to draft his replacement. Congrats. You got 0% closer to San Francisco.
With that, let me just follow up. Is it possible then that the Packers think that the Aaron Rodgers era was a disappointment, winning 1 Super Bowl, and maybe now they're looking ahead at least a couple years?
Well, I would ask Coach, if that's the case, then why did you make him the highest paid player in the history of the league a year ago? If you're already like, old and busted, need the new hotness, Jordan Love, why did you make Aaron Rodgers the highest paid player in the league a year ago and tie yourself to him for 20, 21, and probably 22? To me, there's a disconnect in logic there.
You made him the highest paid player because you probably had to. That's where you were from a market perspective. And nobody's debating that Aaron Rodgers is still a very good player. But the reality is that things change. And each year we see it late in the season where your starter gets hurt and the second guy has to come in and try to win for you. And it's not like Green Bay is immune to a situation like that. In addition, if you look at Rodgers and the situation that they had there, there's no guarantee that things are going to continue to be a great working environment. There's been thoughts and discussions and even rumors out of there that he's been difficult to work with. Maybe this is a way to help reel that in as well. Sometimes there's a message being sent with who you draft in addition to just what's to the naked eye.
All right, well, you said it, Nick. Rodgers sat behind Favre. Love will sit behind Rodgers. They each needed a couple of years. We'll see what happens.
Whether you're working from home or working on your fitness, you want what you're listening to be what you're listening to, not what your roommates, neighbors, or children are listening to. Everyone needs a great pair of wireless earbuds. But before you go dropping hundreds of dollars on a pair, you need to check out the wireless earbuds from Raycon. You already know Raycon earbuds start at about half the price of any other premium wireless earbuds on the market, and that they sound just as amazing as other top audio brands you know. Their newest model, the Everyday E25 earbuds, are their best ones yet, with 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and a more compact design that gives you a nice noise-isolating fit. My own pair of Raycon earbuds are better and easier to use than anything else I've tried. They're comfortable and easy to set up and work seamlessly with my devices. Having a pair of wireless earbuds is a serious game changer for me. Raycon earbuds are stylish and discreet. No dangling wires or stems to distract anyone during video calls. You've heard me talk about how the company was founded by Ray J and celebrities like J.R. Smith, my guy. They are obsessed with Raycons. Pick up a pair and see what the hype's all about. Now's the time to get the latest and greatest from Raycon. Get 15% off your order at buyraycon.com/FTF. That's buyraycon.com/FTF for 15% off Raycon wireless earbuds. buyraycon.com/FTF.
Welcome back. Let's talk a little NFL Draft Super 6. One of the questions for tonight's contest is, who will be the first quarterback drafted in round 2? Your choices: Jacob Eason, Jalen Hurts, Jake Fromm, Bryce Perkins, or no quarterback drafted, or any other quarterback drafted. Nick, what do you think?
I'll say Jalen Hurts, but it doesn't really matter to me, Jenna. Here's why. You can only win the Super 6 once per year. And guess what happened last night, America? We won! Not just me. I gave out the picks on the air. Jenna Wolfe all year long has doubted my ability to win this contest. I've told her I'd won it before. She said I was lying. So what did I do yesterday? Check your DVRs, check my Twitter, however you want to do it. I gave out all 6 picks, rapid fire succession. Boom, 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 boom.
You did it.
Including the shocking pick of who the first offensive lineman was going to be. Most players from a school, LSU, that got it, the Eagles taking a wide receiver, Tua to the Dolphins, all of it. And that sweet, beautiful $10,000 is mine. Wild, you believed in me.
This.
Thank you. Yes.
No.
Yeah.
Stop
we won, America.
You did it. I believed in him the entire time. America, if you want good takes, listen to Nick Wright. #1 prognosticator in America, if not the entire world.
Yes.
I'm just hoping you spend some of that money on dinner when we get back together, Nick. $10,000. We can
I got you,
somewhere
Coach.
really nice.
Per se. You said you wanted to go to Per se. It's on you and me. When New York City opens back up, that's on me. We're just washed in money.
You know what,
It's so
Nick?
great. And we have
I'll
video
do.
proof.
I'll
I did
join
it,
you
Jenna.
for dinner.
Video proof.
Lock that in.
You're not invited.
I will
you
join you
doubted
for dinner.
Me, you get
Thank
nothing.
you for that.
You'll
That
get
was really
nothing
sweet.
and like it.
I will be
doubted
there.
me, Jenna
Awesome.
Wolfe. You're not invited. Not
See
invited.
you at 8.
Super
Before
6.
round 2 kicks off tonight, download Fox Bet Super 6 app. Play for free for a chance to win $5,000.
Be a winner
Time
like
now
me.
for a game we like to call Drawing a Blank. We're going to move on quickly because I can't listen to any more of that. So to nobody's surprise, the Bengals picked LSU quarterback Joe Burrow with the first overall pick. Nick, I'm sure you're still waiting on a verbal confirmation that Burrow wants to play for Cincinnati, but we will save that for another day. The way Burrow should feel about being drafted by the Bengals is blank.
No, we don't have to save for another day. We can talk about it right now. The answer is bittersweet. It's everything he always wanted and he worked for his entire life, kind of. Like, he's got to be happy. He's got to be thrilled that going into his final year at LSU, he was viewed as a 5th, 6th round pick. He ends up being the number 1 overall pick of the draft, the enormous guaranteed money that goes along with it, being able to stay in his home state. The problem is it's the Bengals. And the last quarterback taken number 1 overall by the Bengals, Carson Palmer, was like, Joey B, anywhere but there. So I'm sure there's a little bit of anxiety about what this actual task is going to undertake this task, what it's going to take, I should say. But yeah, bittersweet. Amazing moment. Probably not perfect, though, Coach.
I think he should be thankful. He went to Ohio State initially to try to lead his hometown team to a national championship and had to go to LSU. Has the production that he does last year and the success that he does, and now he has an opportunity to lead another hometown team and change the trajectory of the organization. Look, to whom much is given, much is expected, and if he's the player that they think he is, then he will be a force multiplier and be able to change the direction of the Bengals for years to come.
You know, a lot of people have talked about Peyton Manning's rookie season. He went 3-13. Then he went 13-3. But I think a more apt analogy is Joe Burrow should feel like Nick's hair. Look, you're eventually going to get to a good spot, but there's going to be some rough days along the ride. You know, you should be happy. You're headed in the right direction, but it's going to be a rough ride. Let's be honest. So I would say Nick's hair, Jenna.
I'm glad you said Nick's hair. By the way, guys, 3rd straight year the Heisman winner goes
It's in a good
number
spot
1
now.
overall. Congratulations to Burrow. It's in Nick's hair and Burrow both in a good spot. You're right. All right, let's move on to the Chargers.
That's right.
They used their 6th overall pick on Oregon quarterback Justin Herbert. You know, because replacing 16-year vet Phillip Rivers should be a walk in the park. Nick, the way Chargers fans should feel about LA drafting Herbert is blank.
Can I preface my answer with I feel terribly about this? I feel like it's mean, and I would like to be able to celebrate all these young men just 12 hours removed from the greatest moment of their life. However, my commitment to take integrity will not allow me to lie to the audience.
Oh, boy.
Chargers fans should feel depressed. They drafted the wrong guy. Hey, listen, Justin Herbert, I wonder if Justin Herbert and Josh Allen and Mitch Trubisky already have a group text or if that's just coming later. I don't see it. I didn't see it in college. He's big, he's strong, he's got a good arm. I just don't. I feel the Chargers had the fewest starting quarterbacks of any team in the league over the last 20 years. Only 3 guys had started games for them. They're about to get on this treadmill of trying to find their next quarterback, and I don't believe Coach Justin Herbert is it.
Yeah, I think they should be frustrated, and just like I'm frustrated with your quarterback takes because you are an expert on quarterbacks. So everybody should have gone to you in terms of who should be picked. I'd say frustrated in the sense that you have the difficulty that we have right now in terms of everybody being in quarantine. And when you have a player that you pick in as highly as they picked him, you want to give him the best opportunity to actually come in and start. And the off season, we don't know what that's going to look like. We're all adjusting and reacting as things unfold. But he's not going to have the best opportunity to start early and even to start as early as some quarterbacks do when they don't start the first game because of the way that things are going to have to be adjusted and abridged.
So he said he was willing to wait, and I think there's no pressure on him. I put Pete Conrad. Who's Pete Conrad? He's the third guy to walk on the moon, and no one really knows who he is. And you've heard like one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Pete Conrad's first words were a joke that he won $500 on a bet. He said it feels squishy. He also said, I feel like Bugs Bunny. So basically, there's no pressure on the third guy. I feel like he's in a great spot. While there's going to be a lot of pressure on Tua and Joe Burrow, he gets to lay back, hang out, learn a little bit, and then, walk on the moon.
I like it. I like it. All right, let's move on to the Dallas Cowboys now. They got Dak, a shiny new receiver, drafting Oklahoma wideout CeeDee Lamb last night with the 17th overall pick. Nick, the way Cowboys fans should feel about Dallas drafting CeeDee Lamb is blank.
Exhilarated. They got a guy a lot of people believe to be the best receiver in this class at 17. And while I think some expected them to go defense and that if they win offense, they would go with Ruiz, the center, to replace the retired Travis Frederick. To get a player, a blue chip talent like this at 17, when you are trying to ostensibly win games on the offensive side of the ball, you hire Mike McCarthy, you give Cooper $100 million, you give Zeke all that money. They should be super excited. CeeDee Lamb was maybe the best receiver in college football last year. Dak now has as many weapons as any quarterback in the entire NFL and no excuses left. So I think Cowboy fans should be exhilarated. You got a super fun, super productive player, Coach.
Yeah, they should be optimistic. And he's not even Pete Conrad. He's not even the third guy to walk on the moon. He's probably their fourth best offensive player, or he should be their fourth best offensive player based on how much they're paying everybody else. And look, we hear all the time about how good their running back is, how good their wide receiver is, how good their quarterback is. He's holding out to be the highest paid guy in the league. So, look, you had another unbelievable draft pick that you're shocked was there. And you got to be optimistic that this offense is just going to be unstoppable.
Jenna, I'm going with Yacht Rock, and I know everybody's talking about Cliff Kingsbury's beautiful house, but Jerry Jones said, I see your beautiful house, I raise you my yacht. I feel like this is a great move for the Cowboys. It's luxurious. It's just fantastic. We added some yacht music for you, Jenna, so I'm going to go to Yacht Rock.
I like it very much. Dak's got his weapons, but do the Cowboys have Dak? To be determined. On to the Patriots. We should leave this up. It's actually putting me in a nice mood. A number of people speculated they would draft a quarterback to replace Tom Brady in the first round. A lot of those people would be wrong. This morning, New England instead opting to trade their 23rd overall pick to the Chargers for their 37th and 71st picks. So, Nick, in the second round, the Pats should be targeting blank.
All right, it's a name many of the audience might not know, but be on the lookout for him. Bronson Reichsteiner. You might say, who's Bronson Reichsteiner? He's the only fullback graded on NFL.com. He's the only fullback that might be drafted. And Coach spent a good portion of last year explaining to me what happened to the Patriots was they lost the key to every high-powered offense, their fullback. James Devlin out. Bronson Reichsteiner in. Maybe it's slight overdraft, but for the ground and pound Patriot offense that they're evidently going to try to run with Stidham and Hoyer, you need a big neck roll fullback. So I say Bronson Reichsteiner, Coach.
The hate and venom that comes out of Nick every time we talk about the Patriots is unbelievable. And Kevin, I'm very impressed that you know what yacht rock is. I didn't even know that was a genre of music. But I'd say that the Patriots should look at a guy like Xavier McKinney, the safety from Alabama. He's incredibly versatile. You can play him down in the box. You can pressure with him. He's got the ability to coverage. He's got a high motor. He played in a system that's very demanding intellectually, and that fit should and transition should be very easy for him. I like the guy, and I like the way that he fits into their secondary.
Coach, I'm going with Chef's Choice. So when Jenna and I are also going to go to this dinner at Per Se that with Nick's winnings, and here's what we're going to do.
You.
Chef's Choice. Whatever the chef wants to bring. That's how I feel about Bill Belichick. Whatever you want. Just bring it out. I'm sure you know more than I do. So chef's choice. Bring out whatever you think is good, and I'll be happy with it. And Nick, whenever you want to send out the gift certificate or the save the date for us, we are ready. And I will order the chef's choice.
Back here, first things first, now joined by two-time Super Bowl champ Torrey Smith. Torrey, thanks for being with us on the morning after round one of the draft. We have so much to get to. Guys, heading into last night, the biggest question mark was obviously where Tua was going to go, if the Dolphins were going to take him, if they were going to let him slide. Well, spoiler alert, they did. With the 5th overall pick, Miami selected Tua to be their franchise quarterback. Nick, you surprised he didn't fall in the draft? I know you didn't want him to, but
no,
surprised he didn't?
Listen, not at all. I said I was very consistent on this, that I thought Tua should go number 1, but if he didn't, there was no chance he was falling past 5. Chris Greer and Brian Flores are too smart to blow it, and they didn't blow it, and congrats to the Dolphins because they won the draft last night. They got the guy that going into the year, we thought they would have to go 1-15 and have the number 1 overall pick to get. They got him without having to trade any assets to move up, and it kind of goes against the spirit of tanking. The Dolphins were 0-7, and then some people said they screwed up by winning 5 of their final 9 games. That Ryan Fitzpatrick magical final drive in the final game of the season to knock the Patriots from the 2 to the 3 seed. It also knocked the Dolphins down in the draft. People said, oh, that's going to cost them their franchise quarterback. Nope. They still get Tua, who I believe is going to be the best quarterback in this draft. They didn't panic and trade up. They didn't sacrifice future assets. And now they are in a position, Wilds, to a year from now be the favorites in the AFC. You can give, or in the AFC East, pardon me. You can give Tua time. You can give Tua time if he's not ready to play year 1, and you have an extra first and an extra second-round pick next year as well, and they will immediately, I believe, in 2021 be the favorites in the AFC East. I know you're very sad. That makes me very happy, Wilds.
You know, Nick, we had this big Photoshop yesterday, and, you know, Tua's going to come to New England in the wrong jersey. So I was so excited yesterday. Oh, no. Guys, I know the Photoshop's married to the...
They played the music. Yeah, they played the music. Yeah. How's that feeling?
That's got to be the yacht rock now.
A little mambo.
No, his mood is more yacht rock now.
It wasn't great, Jenna, for me. I'm happy for Tua. I'm happy for former Super Bowl champion, once a Patriot, always a Patriot, Brian Flores. So I'm happy for the entire Miami Dolphins organization. But personally, Jenna, I'm a little crestfallen.
I see that. But, Torrey, look, we know as much about Tua's health this morning as we did last night. Whatever concerns we have this morning, we still had him last night. That didn't change. You still feel like you were surprised, though, that Miami wasn't a little more concerned? Didn't maybe go for someone else, that Tua didn't fall a little bit further down?
I mean, we know from recent history, nothing's guaranteed at the quarterback position, even if they're picked in the first round. And you have a guy with that type of talent. He's a blue-chip prospect. And to me, all of his injuries have been kind of fluke injuries. So you have the opportunity to have him, not only his accuracy, his playmaking ability, if his health is fine, which clearly it has been for them to check off, he's a guy that can change your franchise for the next 10 to 15 years. You talk about the intangibles, the ability to win, and what Coach Flores is building there in that culture. I think it was a huge victory for them.
So, Nick, we heard a report that Tua is going to come in and compete right away for the job, that he probably won't sit. So how quickly do you think he could turn around this franchise? How quickly could Miami contend with Tua there now?
Oh, I think they can win the division in 2021. I think it's as simple as that.
Oh.
I think that I believe Tua will be better than Darnold. I believe Tua is already better than Josh Allen, and I know he's better than whoever the Patriots have. If you have the best quarterback in your division, you are almost always the favorites in your division. So barring the Patriots making some shocking move for Cam Newton, the Dolphins, this is how you turn around a franchise, like this. You have a plan, you stay true to the plan, you execute the plan. Why can't the Dolphins be the class of the AFC East after a year of growing pains for Tua, whether he starts part of the year, all of the year, or none of the year. And Tori, I would ask you, when you have the Dolphins have 6 picks in the top 70 and then 4 first and second round picks next year, what type of shot in the arm can that franchise have as far as all the young talent plus all the free agent money they spent this offseason, Tori?
I agree with you. I think 2021 they'll have the opportunity to compete. I'm not going to say they're going to win a division right away, but they'll have the opportunity to compete for sure. You know, when you have a quarterback and the talent that they're building, a quarterback essentially each year can be the difference between 3 or 4 games by themselves. They put themselves in a great position, and they had a heck of a run towards the end of last year, and they're just winning, just small wins, and trusting their process.
Nick, how do you think the Dolphins should handle Tua and how they should use him next year?
Well, I don't think you have to rush him, but if he's fully cleared medically, then after a month or so of the season, he can come into the starting lineup. I personally, if I were them, would love if Josh Rosen could give me a good month of football, so maybe you can recoup some draft value for him if you ship him out. I'd want Rosen to win the quarterback battle in camp, actually, between Rosen and Fitzpatrick, see if you can recoup some of that value. But I want to kick a question to Wildes. Wildes, a few weeks ago, you talked about, I forgot what the example you used was, but it was essentially this. You should do what the assistant GM test, I think it was. You should do things that will make other GMs upset. So I want to ask you, as a Patriot fan, it's not just that you guys didn't get him, right? It's also that he's in the division now. He didn't go to the Chargers. He didn't go to the Lions. The Jags didn't trade up to get him. You now have to go through Tua while you are still figuring out who your quarterback is. Like, that's part of the crestfallen nature of your face right now, correct?
Well, kind of, but I like Tua so much, and the Dolphins have been such a boring watch as we just roll over them. It's been more Globetrotters, Washington Generals, and I know the last game, so people yell at me. But I'm actually happy that Tua's in. I'm actually happy that Tua's in Miami. I've got something about what you said earlier about the plan worked, and this is how it's supposed to go. Do you think last night, if Tank for Tua actually worked in a weird roundabout way, that any GMs, coaches, owners were thinking about Trevor Lawrence? If they saw this work out and you think that they can contend immediately, we know there's a superstar waiting right there. Do you think that Trevor Lawrence was on anyone's mind last night?
Well, listen, I think he should be on a lot of people's minds. As much as I like Tua, Trevor Lawrence to me is the best prospect. Doesn't mean he's going to be the best quarterback. The best prospect since Andrew Luck, if not further back. So maybe since Peyton Manning. I love the guy's potential, but I'm going to almost flip that question towards Tori, which is I think the Dolphins showed, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, you can't tank in the NFL. Even if the team trades away all your veteran talent, the game's too dangerous, too violent, and too competitive for teams to go out there and during the actual 60 minutes of the game not give their best effort. Like, do you think tanking is even possible effectively in this league, Tori?
Yeah, I don't believe it's possible. Even then, there's professionals in every position. Are there some rosters that are more talented than others? Yes. But like you're saying, this game is violent and it has to be played a certain way. You know, it's not like basketball where you might be able to let up on defense. Like, you can seriously be hurt if you go and you relax on the football field. So tanking isn't a part of anyone's plans, but I believe that when it happens, you're for sure thankful for a prospect like Trevor Lawrence is sitting right there waiting for you.
Also, guys, Miami ended up with Tua, but the tanking didn't work. The tank for Tua didn't work. No one knew Tua was going to get hurt. No one knew that Miami was going to drop to where they did. It was incredibly lucky that the stars aligned and they ended up getting him. To tank for Trevor, it's complicated and dangerous, but also very hard to do. But we shall see. All right, let's take a slight turn here, talk some hoops. Off air, Tori, you were talking about how much you like LeBron's the amount we talk about LeBron from Nick. Wait till you see this. Nick has made it his life's work, my friend, to compile the top 10 playoff performances from his guy. This morning, well, strap in. Here we go. This morning, the big reveal. What game, Nick Wright, do you have at number 1?
All right, if you look at this list, you see thus far there's only been one game on the list that is not an NBA Finals game. That was the 48 special against Detroit when 22-year-old LeBron took the league by storm, scoring 25 consecutive points to essentially announce himself as the best player in the league. There is one other game on this list that is not an NBA Finals game. It is the number one game on the list. It is the single most important game of LeBron's career. Game 6 of the 2013 NBA Eastern Conference Finals. 2012. I said the wrong year. 2012 Eastern Conference Finals. LeBron's 45, 15, and 5 in Boston, down 3-2. Now, the numbers are unbelievable. LeBron became the first guy since Wilt to score that many points that late into the playoffs on that few free throws. He did it all with jump shots, only had 4 baskets at the rim. But it's not about the numbers. It's about where LeBron's career was and where it could have gone and where it did go. If they lose that game, they break up the big three in Miami. He follows up the failure of the 2011 finals with letting the big three in Boston beat him again. Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett thought they had him mentally beaten in this series after they had won 3 straight going into this game. And LeBron James' career, who knows what it becomes. Instead, he plays up to that point the greatest game he had ever played, in the most important game he's ever played. And from that moment forward, he went on an 8-year run, the likes of which the league had never seen. He made 7 more consecutive NBA finals. He won another league MVP. He won 3 finals MVPs, and he was the best player on the court for 7 consecutive NBA finals, which has never been done before and never will be done again. The most important and the best game of LeBron's career, Game 6, 2012 Eastern Conference Finals, 45, 15, and 5. And I'll kick it to you, Tori. Tori, you've now seen this whole list. Your thoughts, your critiques, your concerns on LeBron's 10 greatest playoff games.
I mean, there's so many amazing games. I think you did a great job picking them out. And I remember your number one choice in particular. That was the game he was a man on a mission. He was hit like 9 out of his first 10 or 11 shots. And he was just so aggressive. Yep. And that's something that people try to knock him for, not being dominant and trying to score all the time. He kind of lets the game come to him. But that's a game that I remember him just taking over like, hey, it's on me, which is the way he basically plays all the time, but people like to isolate it. But he did his thing, and I think he's the greatest player of all time. Whenever you look at his stat sheet, you're going to see rebounds, you're going to see assists. It makes everyone around him better. And I have arguments literally every day, with my best friends, Derek and Angel, and LeBron is at the top of the list. They send all the memes, they send and all I respond back with clips of you leading the LeBron Stan Club. So I'm loving it, man. Keep up the great work.
Appreciate you, Tori.
Hey, Tori, lucky
Welcome back
for you.
anytime, my man.
Lucky. I'm sure. Tomorrow, Nick's going to start doing all 3,000 regular season games. So make sure you are still tuning in. This is going to keep going. Thanks, Tori. Got to take a break. Time for stories to start your morning. How about this one? Tom Brady and Phil Mickelson will take on Peyton Manning and Tiger Woods in a charity golf event. And warm weather Tom is letting loose with this Photoshop on his Instagram. Nick, 2 questions. 1, can you deflate a golf ball? And 2, who do you have your money on?
Okay.
All right. Well, I'll answer the second question in a moment. But Jenna, I've got to just be honest here. I've been shocked by what warm weather Tom actually means. Ever since Tom Brady moved to Tampa, got out of this strict disciplinarian cocoon of Bill Belichick, what has he done? Well, let's think about it. He trespassed in a public park illegally, lucky not to be arrested. He then violated all social distancing rules to do that silly conch video with Gronk, showing total disregard for public health. He then broke and entered into some stranger's house, claiming he thought it was Byron Leftwich's, and now he's bullying people, bullying Peyton Manning, bullying Tiger Woods. I don't know what's happened to the Tom Brady we all knew and I loved so much. I don't know if it's the weather, I don't know what's going on, but who am I picking? Well, I mean, Tiger Woods is my 3rd favorite athlete of all time. Peyton Manning has broken no laws that I know of in the last 96 hours. Brady's broken dozens, it would appear. So I'm obviously going Tiger and Peyton, Kevin Wildes.
Okay, first of all, that's not a Photoshop. So that's the first thing that's wrong. Second of all, I don't think that conch video with that he was summoning Gronk was done yesterday. That was an old video. So I'm all things pro Tom Brady. I'm a little bit frustrated, to be honest with you. Nick's made some good points, but that is not a Photoshop.
Yeah, I don't really understand why Tom Brady, or you think Tom Brady was actually breaking into someone's house. I know that he didn't get as much money as he hoped to, but he seemed to be doing okay down in Tampa. And in terms of bullying, I can't imagine that Peyton Manning's ever been bullied in his life. So if this is the worst that he suffers, I think he's doing okay.
Oh, okay. All right, yeah. Victim blame.
You knew Coach would spin it that way. Speaking of Tom Brady,
Nick.
so the Tampa Bay Buccaneers traded up to the 13th overall pick last night to draft Iowa offensive tackle Tristan Wirfs. Brady hoping Wirfs will help him keep his new Bucs uniform clean. Coach, start with you. Good move by Tampa?
Yeah, look, I worked with Kirk Ferentz in both Cleveland and Baltimore before he went to Iowa. He's an incredible coach, and he's an incredible offensive line coach, and he's shown a track record of developing guys that are special in that area. So for Tampa to be able to add a guy like this, who I'm sure also has high character if he played for Kirk, I think it's a great move, and it helps solidify some of the other things they're doing.
Nick, although I was upset that the Patriots didn't get Tua, I was delighted with this pick. Jameis got sacked 47 times last year. That doesn't even count the scrambles that Tom Brady is not going to be able to do. So I thought this was the perfect pick to protect the world's greatest athlete.
Yeah, well, listen, I don't know why you're worried about what the Patriots did. Your favorite team, the Bucs, did the absolute right thing. There's no sarcasm here whatsoever. This is extraordinary work by Jason Light. You're sitting at 14. There's a guy in Tristan Wirfs that if you were sitting at 6, I believe you would have taken. You see him there at 13. You want to make sure someone else doesn't trade up and get him. So you trade away a 4th-round pick. You move up a spot. It's the only spot on the offense that you were questionable about. So you get a guy who you can plug in instantly, you believe to be a day one starter. There is no reason Tampa Bay shouldn't have a top 5 offense in the entire NFL, assuming they have good quarterback play. Now, some would wonder, are the Bucs a quarterback away from being a Super Bowl contender? To me, that's the question. You have one of the greatest tight ends ever. You have Mike Evans. You have Chris Godwin. You have O.J. Howard. You have Ronald Jones. You had just signed a tackle in one of your own tackles back last year. You just drafted a tackle in the 1st round. You have Ali Marpet. It's all set up. Now let's just see what Brady can do. He could not ask for a better situation to be in. I am super excited to see it. This is an exceptional pick by the Bucs in my mind, Jenna.
Okay. On to the New England Patriots. Many speculated they'd draft a quarterback to replace Tom Brady in the 1st round, but New England opted instead to trade their 23rd overall pick to the Chargers for their 37th and 71st picks. Nick, you surprised the Pats traded out of the 1st round instead of grabbing a quarterback?
Well, they must not have loved, no pun intended, Jordan Love. And if there is a quarterback they like, they think he's going to be available later. The only quarterback who was taken, obviously, where since they traded out was Jordan Love. But this is something Bill Belichick understands incredibly well, and he's 100% right on, which is the draft, for all intents and purposes, is a lottery. And there is no way to be great at a lottery. I know you got friends, you go to your local bodega and they're like, these numbers hit last night. That's why I'm playing these numbers. These are my special numbers. Those people, there's a name for them. They're idiots. There's no way to be good at the lottery. The only way to be good at the lottery is to buy extra tickets. And the Patriots are wonderful at understanding that and getting themselves extra tickets. So that's all this was. An extra ticket via that 3rd round pick to see if they hit on something. So Wilds, I know you're probably a little upset. You don't know who your quarterback's going to be, but I actually think this is very shrewd and very smart what the Patriots did in getting themselves another bite at the apple.
Stidham is my quarterback, or Hoyer, so I'm in. I'm off of the Tua train. I'm off of the Cam train. I was never on the Andy Dalton train. and the Jameis train, it doesn't exist. So I'm off of that. It's Stidham or Hoyer. Got 13 picks left. I love it. We might have 5 picks tonight, unless maybe we move back. Maybe we get more, Coach. I'm feeling good about tonight.
First of all, I need to respond to what Nick said about Tom Brady in terms of being in the best possible position. The best possible position would be him back in New England. But all that being said, in terms of them, in terms of them trading back, this is very consistent with what Bill does. And you're right, Nick. It is to some degree a lottery. You do as much research as you possibly can on these players, but at the end of the day, they still are very young, and you never know how fame and money and time are going to affect them. So if you have a volume of picks and you have capital to move up and move down, it creates opportunities for you to improve a significant portion of the roster, as opposed to just spending all your money on high picks and really only being able to target 1 or 2 isolated areas or just some isolated areas.
Takeaway from that, Wilds is Stidham or bust right now. I love it, Wilds. All right, on to the Kansas City Chiefs. They drafted LSU running back Clyde Edwards. I know it is. Chiefs drafted LSU running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire with the final pick of the first round last night. Another weapon added to Kansas City's offense. Coach, throw it back to you. Should Nick be happy with this pick?
Yes, Nick should be happy with this pick. I was watching him against Alabama, and it was impressive. And I love the things that he does out of the backfield, not only running the ball, but the threat that he is in terms of the passing game. And I think that when you can put a player like that into an offense that, like Kansas City already has, it just creates options. And Andy Reid is already so creative with the players that he does have. To put another weapon that has multiple skill sets in a creative offense, I think creates problems for everybody else.
Nick, I'm very happy for you. I'm even happier for myself, to be 100% honest. My wife went to Wisconsin, which means we've got Wisconsin pillows, we've got Wisconsin bobbleheads, and I think Jonathan Taylor's an absolute star in the making. And if my son is already saying Mahomes when he throws the ball, if Jonathan Taylor was also on the Chiefs, I would just, pull my hair out and end up have a worse hairstyle than you. So I'm very happy for you.
Well, listen, it would also been tough for Jonathan Taylor because having gone to Wisconsin, he has no experience winning championships. So to win one as a rookie might be jarring for him. So it's probably best the Chiefs didn't take him. But let's focus on who they did take. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. You saw this kid? Who cares he's under 5'8"? He has the same receiving profile in college as Christian bleeping McCaffrey. I don't know how Brett Veach does it. You have the 32nd pick of the draft, and you get the number 1 player on your board at a position. Usually if you're drafting 32nd, you're like, we got our 4th best wide receiver or 6th best offensive lineman. Nope. Number 1 running back that we want. The only spot on the offense you might have a position of need. Let's get him. It is awesome for me. I understand. I can see the depression on Coach's face. You're smiling, but you hate it. It's wonderful. So I'll count up Chiefs again, Jenna.
Nope. No better way to send us off to the weekend. See you Monday, guys.